What's up, Lantern fans? It's the Emerald Enthusiast, the co-host of the Emerald Deco podcast. Here with a look at this noble collection, Bendyfigs action figure of Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. I recently picked this figure up on a road trip. It's the first one that I have ever seen. I'm very excited to do this review, so let's take a look at the package details. On the front bottom, we see the DC Comics logo, and it says Green Lantern, and there are some product details. The figure comes in a basic card and bubble design, and this allows you to see the figure from all angles. On the back, we get a shot of the other characters who have figures in this collection, and we get some cool artwork of Hal Jordan. On the front of the package, we see similar artwork of Hal Jordan. It says the Noble Collection at the top, Bendyfigs, and there is the Green Lantern logo. The figure is in a sturdy bubble, and I certainly like that. And with all that being said, now it's time to bust this figure out of the package and see what's inside. Here is the figure free of the outer packaging, but still bound to the inner plastic. And here we see Hal Jordan out of the package and ready to rumble. The reactions that I have seen online to this figure have been divided. Some buyers have praised its sculpt and durability, while others have lamented its lack of articulation. So let's take a closer look at the loose details now. Let's have a look at the figure base, and I am thoroughly impressed by this. You can see the Green Lantern logo on the front. The letters DC have been sculpted into the surface. The pegs port into the bottom of the figure's feet, and on the bottom of the base it says Bendyfigs with the company logo. Let's have a look at the lower body now, and I think there are things to both like and dislike in this area. The boots have been sculpted fairly well. You can see some of the detail there with some of the wrinkles that have been sculpted in. I do wish that more sculpting had been done to the tops of the boots. It's mainly just a differentiation in paint. Although I do appreciate this green paint choice. It's very eye-catching. Here's a closer look at the back of Hal Jordan's legs. I would have liked more definition in the hamstrings. But overall, this is a decent effort. The articulation in the lower body is minimal at best. Here I'm articulating the knee, but it doesn't want to stay in that position. I turn the ankle outward and it snaps back to the original position. The hips are pretty much stationary. There's very little movement, so I can understand why some collectors were disappointed in the articulation. If you're wondering whether the figure can stand without the base, the answer is yes, but only for a short period of time. If you work with the upper body and get it properly balanced over the lower body, at least temporarily you can get the figure to stand on its own. Let's have a look at the torso, and this is the biggest strength of this figure. The Green Lantern chest symbol has been sculpted as a raised section over the pectorals, and I really appreciate the way that looks. The paint applications, unfortunately, are a little sloppy. There's a little bit of extra white down here, but you can see just how well the abdominals have been sculpted as well as the pectorals. There's plenty of definition here on the deltoids. And look at all this magnificent sculpting back here with the lower lumbar, the latissimus dorsi, and the trapezius. And with the green paint choice, this torso looks excellent. The figure's torso does articulate, but once again, it's difficult to get him to stay in any pose. He rocks back this much, so I appreciate that. You can get him to crunch forward this far. And he does twist at the waist, as you can see. Once I took this figure out of the package and began to work with it, he was holding poses a little longer, but once again, the articulation is still minimal. Now let's take a look at the arms. And overall, I think the sculpting is pretty good.
You can see a differentiation in the biceps and triceps. Good shape on the forearms. And at least with the black and the green sections on the arms, the paint applications are tight and clean. In terms of articulation, you can get the elbow to move into a good ring slinging angle. As I began working with the arms, I noticed that they stay in place more so than the lower body. However, there was this weird adhesive on both gloves, and it took me some time to get those cleaned off. So I'm not exactly sure what that was about. I've never seen that on a figure before. Another huge positive for this figure is the ring. Now, obviously, I'm having to hold it in place just to record it. But nonetheless, I wish more toy companies would produce their Green Lantern action figures with rings like this. The ring is raised and it's very prominent. I like the paint applications here. They're not perfect, but the ring does stand out. Here's a look at the head sculpt, and although there are things to appreciate here, there are certainly things to dislike as well. The mask is the correct shape, and the white eyes have been executed well. The hair is comic accurate, both in terms of style and color, and that's a big positive for a lot of veteran Hal Jordan fans. But as you can see, the skin is very waxy looking, and there's a lack of detail with the facial features. Here's a quick side view, and again, I have to give Noble credit for the shape of the mask as well as the paint application. The back of the head is a different story, however. As you can see, there's this extra white that I'll eventually try to fix, and there's a lack of detail on the hair. It's just a big brown mass. The neck does allow you to articulate the head, as you can see here. You can get it to go pretty far side to side. You can get it to turn in both directions, so I do appreciate that. You can get him to look up. You can get him to look down. And as I worked with this head, I noticed that it stayed in place a little bit more. However, I would worry about the long-term effects of articulating the head with too much force. You may eventually do permanent damage to the figure, so be careful. I certainly hope you have enjoyed this review. If so, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for some articulation shots, and also remember to catch me on the Emerald Echo podcast as part of the Multiverse Musings vidcast that's available right here on YouTube. And I'll be back to the internet with more Green Lantern related content soon. But until we meet again, this has been the Emerald Enthusiast, and thanks for watching.